Hello, Maddie from Hella Interloper here. So, today we are going to be talking about Dawn of the Dragons a little more. But, I said in the last video that I was going to talk about crafting, and I was going to also show you what a world raid is. And though I do want to show that to you, I first want to discuss how to keep maintenance, so to speak. The little tiny things that you need to do on, not exactly a daily basis, but every once in a while to make sure that you are at your best. So, first of all, very important thing to do is check that you have your best gear equipped. Because this early, I'm level 29 now, this early in the game, you will sometimes tag things and get some new equipment. So make sure that you have your best equipment equipped so you could do the maximum amount of damage to this world raid we're talking about later. So one thing that I also forgot to mention is that there is one raid that I mentioned earlier not to tag that I later found out is actually something you want to tag until you get one certain thing. Teremarthu, if you go to raid and check find, you can usually find him on the list. You do not want to tag Caracalla. You will not get anything of any importance. You don't want to tag Marius, you don't want to tag Krugnug, and you do not want to tag Leonine Watcher, or I believe you don't want to tag Riddler Gargoyle. Yeah, those are the ones you don't want to tag. And you know what? Teremarthu might not actually be up at the moment because there's a world raid going on. But either way, Teremarthu is basically a basically looks like a big Cthulhu monster guy. You know what? I'm gonna search, see if I could find him for you guys, just so I can show you what he looks like. But he does drop. There we go, Teremarthu. Okay, so I'll join it and quickly show you. Now, if you do tag him, you will get, from the lowest tier, you will have a chance to get this chest piece, which is pretty much the best chest piece you can get this early on in the game. So make sure you tag it only until you get the chest piece, because you will not get anything of any worth when you tag. That is for the end game players, the really high levels, so until you get this, you can tag it, but after that, really there's no point. So, that aside, make sure that you have your best stuff equipped. Also, make sure that you keep maintenance with your legions. Now, at this point, I've got 4 different legions. You might have some more or less, and make sure you check the Bazaar for the latest legion available. If you completed an area, usually you can unlock a new one for purchase. But if you go over and assign, and I'll just click clear and assign here. I don't know if this will do any more. I have a damage of 250, and usually then what you could do is you could save and move on to the next one, and just check your total power. So I got 351 with this one. I'm going to clear, assign, and I'm actually going to switch this out for Ruth and put Roland there. It doesn't always go to the optimal level. Sometimes you gotta switch it around yourself. Save. So that's 351. And as you can see, mine is 475 now with this equipped, but you can see what each of these are when you go in there. So let me assign here. 460. Okay, so basically this one is my best with 475. So that's the one you want to have equipped. So basically, yeah, make sure that you check all of your legions. Make sure you have the best one equipped possible. And don't forget to tag some raids, because you will get better troops. These are all troops that I got from tagging, not from purchasing from the Bazaar. So that's your little maintenance update for legions, because if you do keep maintenance with your legions, make sure you have the best stuff equipped, the best troops, the best generals, so on and so forth. You will do more damage in raid, as I showed in the Legion special episode, you can call it. Also, check the Bazaar if anything new came up just ignore all this for now. I know you might be tempted to spend your 5 planet coins or more, but it's not worth it. Do not buy anything here. This is pretty terrible compared to the thing I crafted in the Citadel. So, no, that's not what I want to check. The raid section is good. Don't buy these generals ever. But yeah, Ruth is a general that you can buy. Check your troops, check your legions, check your magic, see if there's anything that you can buy. And speaking of which, if you did finish Burden's Rest and are now on Feydark Valley, I believe at the very beginning of Feydark Valley you get your first magic, which happens to be Lesser Poison, if I remember correctly. I'll explain more about that in a later episode, because right now we're going to be talking about the World Raid. But one more thing to do quickly before we move on to the World Raid is make sure that you put your best equipment in Duel and Coliseum. As you can see, I did not. And at this point, if you have been following my tutorial, you will not be able to duel. And I mean this as in everybody else will be stronger than you. You don't have to worry about this right now. Just get to rank 5 Novice. Your rank will not go below 5 and 100 points, so don't worry too much about it. But basically, you'll most likely lose every fight here because people are putting in attack and defense, and some of these are characters that are starting to focus on PvP. You'll be able to catch up with them later. Don't worry about it. For now, beat people in Coliseum, because you should have all your army slots equipped, but also make sure that you update your equipment here. As you see, I didn't, but if I did so, it would just take too long for the demonstration, so let's forget about that. Now, one more thing that is new to add on your little list of maintenance is crafting. And crafting is how you get those wonderful extra stat points. So basically this is what the crafting screen looks like, and it's just basically a list with little scrolls that you can open up. And so I'll just open up generals, let's say. There's general upgrades, which is another list, but it shows a bunch of stuff that I can collect later along the line to craft things. And I'm just gonna do some glances here. I don't have these items. If the item is green, that means that you have it. But we can worry about most of that later. For now, we start at the basic collections. If we go up here. This is extremely slow on BlueStacks. I apologize. Oh my goodness. There we go. Now, if you see a little red arrow, that means that you can craft something in that section. So I'm going to click that, and Cobalt Belts. I have a full set, as you can see, and I got those from questing. So what I'm going to do is click Craft. I could click Craft All, but I only have 1 out of 1 here and 1 out of 1 there, so I will only be able to craft 1 set. And by crafting, I get stat points. Wonderful. So from questing and raids, you will be able to get stat points, and there are a few other things that you can craft. As you can see, I could craft generals, I can craft equipment, mounts, troops, legions, and magic. Legendaries. Legendaries take a long time to craft, I will just say that much. And you can even craft planet coins from login rewards. If you log in every day, you can eventually get yourself an Idol of the Devoted, and it is best to wait until you have 4, because then you get 15 planet coins instead of using 2 to get 5. But that means you have to wait 4 weeks. But then you get 15 planet coins. That's always good. And of course, planet coins, I'll talk about that much later. So many things I need to talk about, so little time. But that's basically crafting in a nutshell. As you go throughout the game, you'll be able to craft more things and add more stat points. But for now, we want to get this LSI up to 7, so we can level as fast as possible. And then once we get the leveling more along, more on the move, and we get more stat points through crafting and stuff, then we can start working on our BSI. But right now, the attack and defense that we have from our equipment is good enough. So now let's talk about that world raid, because I know that you're all probably wondering, what on earth is a world raid? It sounds exciting. Well, it is very exciting because it's something that anybody can partake in. It doesn't matter how strong or weak you are, you will be able to get something good out of it. Now let me just scroll through here. You know what is probably better if I go over here. Come on, hurry up. Hurry up. There we go. News. So, now, world raids are kind of big raids that anybody can join. There really isn't a limit. The limit is set so high that it'll never be met. But it doesn't exactly have the usual timer that we see. Some raids, you know, they expire in as little as 4 hours if we talk about a lair. Or maybe it was 5 hours, I don't even remember. But the world raids usually last a very long time. There's some that only last a day, but basically they're spawned by the admins, and everybody gets to partake in it, and there's something called a big loot table that goes along with it. So I'm going to press that. I successfully joined World Raid. Sometimes that link doesn't work. Sometimes they goof, and what you could do is you could do find public, and you could find it, click join. I'm already a member of this raid, but I'm going to go to current now and show you what I mean about a giant loot table. And as you can see here, it doesn't have a health bar, because it doesn't matter how many people hit it. The only thing that matters is the timer. It will not die. You get rewards based on how much damage you do to it. And as you can see, 5,344 people have joined in on the fun so far. And I'm going to press this here and look at the loot and show you the loot table. This is your typical loot table, and we don't really know what we get for how much damage we do, so we will click the big loot table, which is a nice infographic here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little better, but basically it's a little bit cut off. I don't know why, but it's a little bit complicated, but basically the amount of damage you do will net you stat points, attack, defense, perception, which we haven't talked about yet, but I will talk about it on a later episode. Then this set of, I don't know, like they look like papers. This set, troops, and then rewards like a helmet, chest piece. Those look like gloves, pants, boots, ring, axe, and shield, which are these two. And oh, I can move that over. Nice. Bat, that's for the highest tier. You can craft some nice things. You get this on hit. So every time you hit, and using 20 stamina, 20 honor, 20 energy has a higher chance of doing on hit loot, but I know we don't have a lot now. But if we go up, let's look at the lower tiers, because this is probably what we're going to be closer to attaining. Basically, even if you do a little bit of damage, you get stat points to allocate. These can be crafted into stat points and troops and legions and all that kind of good stuff. We get some nice new gear. And it's always worth hitting a world raid. Sometimes it isn't. If you're a high-end player, you can sometimes get more stat points just from hitting normal raids. But for now, this is something that we want to invest in. So I'm going to hit it with all I have. And since I updated my legions and my equipment, I should be doing the maximum amount of damage that I can do. So I'm going to attack it here. I leveled. And the thing about this is you might notice that your damage isn't as high as it is when attacking normal raids. And that is a little bit because there is no magic on world raids. You can't cast magic, and when other people cast magic, usually you can do more damage, because sometimes that procs and you get a crazy hit that you could never really attain from just your normal average hit. And so I did all my damage. As you can see, I did 902k damage. So let's check that loot table now and see how far I am. So I have almost hit 1,000,000. That means once this is over, I will get 10 stat points, and 2 at random of these, and unfortunately no troops, but I will get a helmet. So you can see, track your project, not project, progress. Sorry, a little bit stumbling over my words here. I've been awake since 4:30 a.m. So, yeah, pardon my mistakes. But yeah, see how good you're doing. And the more you hit, the higher it will go, and you will see that you get more rewards as you do more damage. And basically, you get a lot of nice new stuff. Now, I did not check if we got any on-hit rewards, but let's check the craft table. There are craft tables for almost every single world raid. So I will go to Event, that's where you find it, and this one is called Venetharis the Razor. So those papers or contracts, see I got these from on-hit rewards here, because I hit it with 20s, and I can craft stat points if I have one of each. If I have, come on, there we go, if I have 20 of these, the blue, the purple, and the orange, and then 10 troops, I can craft myself a really nice general. Undead, melee strength, so I could put it in at least one of my legions. And then you can actually make a legion if you have 10 of the brown, gray, and green, which are the, I guess, the more common ones. But of course I need the troops. Now troops are also on-hit rewards, so if you are pretty low level like me, you're probably going to have to pick and choose whether or not you want the general or the legion. Honestly, for now, I would probably go with the legion, simply because you won't have a lot of generals, and you might not have a legion that can even fit this general. So for this one, if you are starting right now, I would probably go for the legion. But of course you need 10 of each, which means that you're going to have to check in every once in a while and kick a world raid's butt. And of course, this is only one world raid. There are lots of others, so this may not apply to your world raid. But let me just quickly allocate this. And what else? What else do we have to cover here? I think that... Oh, yes, one more thing. You might have noticed that you are slowly getting a lot of money, and you don't really know what on earth to do with it because really nothing is unlocked. Now, what you probably want to do with this spare money is to buy land. So I will go click land, forget quick stash, because if you quick stash, unfortunately, you lose some of your money. Ah, what did I do? Accidentally X'd out of that. But you can buy some land, and it gives you gold every hour. So I'm going to use about half of the amount of money I have to buy some land. I'm going to go for, let's see, what is affordable? So something about 200, that's too expensive. I'm going to buy myself an inn. So how about 2? Oh, I can only do increments of 5. So I'm going to buy one, and I'm going to buy another. So as you can see, my earnings have gone up. I make 2,500 an hour, which is pretty snazzy. And now if I just leave my game on, I will start getting more gold. That's pretty much how land works. You want to get more land as you progress. But never spend all of your gold to the point where you can't recover your hit points, because then you're kind of in a bit of trouble. You're just going to have to wait until you get more money, or wait until your health goes up, which can take a pretty long time. If I click here, it's about, I guess, a minute and 50 seconds or something for one hit point to go up, so you don't want to get stuck in that position. So basically that's all you really need to know about world raids, and of course every world raid is different. I'm just talking really about the general sense, you know, checking the loot table, checking the craft table, that sort of thing. But try to do as much damage as you can before the timer runs out, and you are sure to enjoy the rewards. So until next time, make sure that you just keep leveling and checking up on your legions, your army, equipping stuff. and Colosseum and your main character and all that good stuff. And of course buying land when you have so much gold that you just have no idea what to do with it. And keep chugging along. I will explain some more things as we progress. So anyway, next time, look forward to it. See ya.